Building trust, building wealth. How the Ivy Group represented a repeat client 5 times. Summary: an overview of multiple transactions in 5 years for a repeat client. A client's 5-year journey with the Ivy Group spans 5 transactions that included 3 purchases and 2 upcoming sales. From 2 industrial condos in Pittsburg, California, to a multi-tenant investment in Oakland, California, the relationship grew from a property tour into a trusted partnership. With creative financing solutions, tough negotiations, and deep market intelligence knowledge, the Ivy Group recently helped the client purchase the right space to grow their e-commerce business while building long-term wealth through commercial real estate investment property ownership. When it all started 5 years ago. 5 years ago, a prospective buyer toured a Newark, California industrial property listed by the Ivy Group. Although the building was too small for the buyer, it was big enough to build trust. The meeting sparked a lasting relationship based on mutual transparency, honesty, and looking out for the client's best interest. Buying and selling 2 properties in Pittsburg, California in 5 years. After passing on the Newark, California property, 6 months later, the buyer returned, this time interested in 2 industrial condos in Pittsburg, California. The Ivy Group guided the successful purchase, enabling the client to occupy the space for their business. After 5 years, family priorities and commute demands led the client back towards Silicon Valley, 880 corridor. With the Pittsburgh condos listed for sale, the Ivy Group identified a new opportunity: a multi-tenant investment property on Tidewater Avenue in Oakland, California. Closing a purchase of an industrial investment property in Oakland, California. The most recent purchase was closed in August 2025 by the Ivy Group, who represented the same repeat client for the 5th time. The industrial investment property is a 6-unit, triple net lease, plus or minus 10,656 square foot, located at 4721 Tidewater Avenue, Oakland, California, consisting of 90% warehouse and 10% office space. The client plans to occupy one of the units to operate an e-commerce business, and the remaining units are fully leased to long-term, existing tenants, producing positive monthly cash flow. The Ivy Group conducted strategic and tenacious negotiations on behalf of the client, and succeeded in reducing the $2.64 million original listing price to $2.1 million, a $540,000 or 20% price reduction, as well as securing a $15,000 credit from seller to buyer at close of escrow for deferred HVAC maintenance. When financing challenges arose when the Pittsburgh sale fell through, the Ivy Group pivoted and advised the client with multiple Plan B loan scenarios. Private money, SBA, residential 1031 exchange, eventually securing a conventional loan for them through trusted banking partners. Building trust earns repeat businesses. The partnership continues while the Ivy Group is currently representing the same client in selling the 2 industrial condos in Pittsburg, California. The full story. The first meeting that led to 5 transactions. 5 years ago, a prospective buyer toured a Newark, California property listed by the Ivy Group. Though the building was too small, that first encounter planted the seeds of trust. "We didn't close that deal," recalled Tim Vi Tran, SIOR, CCIM, principal at the Ivy Group. "But we took the time to listen, to understand what really mattered to them." That's how the relationship began. Trust started with listening instead of selling. The client walked away without purchasing, but the Ivy Group walked away with a relationship. The client remembered that the Ivy Group was at the top of the game, with a track record for delivering results. 6 months later, that decision proved invaluable. Brokering the purchases and sales of 2 Pittsburgh industrial condos. The buyer reached out again 6 months later, this time with 2 industrial condos in Pittsburg, California on their radar. The properties fit their size, price, and immediate needs. Tim and his team guided the buyer through negotiation and purchase. For 5 years, the client operated successfully from Pittsburgh. Yet life shifted. Aging parents and long commutes made returning closer to Silicon Valley 880 corridor a priority for the client. "They asked us to sell the 2 Pittsburgh condos and help them move back home," said Tim. "We knew this was about more than real estate. It was about family, time, and quality of life. Repeat business is the best complement." Buying a multi-tenant, triple net investment property in Oakland, California. Around the same time, the client had their eye on an Oakland property, a six-tenant, triple-net industrial investment asset. One vacant unit allows the client to operate their e-commerce business, while other long-term tenants provide steady positive cash flow. Originally, the client was planning to use the proceeds from the sale of the Pittsburg properties as a down payment for buying this multi-tenant investment property in Oakland. But the buyer of the Pittsburg properties canceled escrow due to inadequate parking concerns, financing hurdles, and creative solutions. With Pittsburg properties still unsold, the down payment for the Oakland property became a challenge. The Ivy Group advised the client with 4 financing options, thanks to Tim Vi Tran's 3 decades of investment experience and 25 years of brokering all types of commercial property transactions. First, sell a residential income property the client owns and use a 1031 exchange to fund the Oakland purchase. Second, explore private lending. Third, explore small business administration, SBA, lending. Fourth, pursue a conventional loan. The first option was unviable. The seller of the Oakland property was unwilling to extend escrow for an additional 60 days to wait for a residential sale to close for an eventual 1031 exchange. The second option of a private loan turned out to be too expensive due to the high interest rate and loan fees. Since the client is unqualified for an SBA loan due to the 51% occupancy rule, a conventional loan was the most viable option. The loan was expedited thanks to the Ivy Group's banking relationships. "We had to get creative and move fast," said Tim, "but that's where our experience comes in, turning obstacles into options. We are good at providing viable options and solutions that are realistic and executable, protecting the client at every step. This wasn't just about finding a property," Tim explained. "It was about anticipating the roadblocks such as Oakland's unique sewer lateral and sidewalk inspection requirements, and protecting the client at every step." Before closing escrow, the Ivy Group investigated the City of Oakland's sewer laterals and sidewalk requirements. From our experience, we know that we have to clear these hurdles proactively to avoid getting the deal delayed at the last minute, said Tim. The Ivy Group achieved a 20% price reduction for the client. Originally listed at $2.64 million, the Ivy Group negotiated very hard and drove the price down to $2.1 million. A $540,000 or 20% price reduction for the buyer client. The Ivy Group also secured a $15,000 seller credit to the buyer at close of escrow to cover deferred HVAC maintenance. The property provides both owner-user space and positive cash flow from long-term rental income. A partnership that endures. Today, the Oakland property is already bought and closed. The Pittsburg properties are on the market, and the relationship with this client continues to grow. "When we first met, we were strangers," Tim reflected. "Now they completely trust us. We've proven our knowledge and commitment, and they know we'll keep delivering results." Even the seller of the Oakland property, a fellow SIOR, took notice, sending Tim a thank you note after closing. "Thank you, Tim, for your professional guidance. From one SIOR to another, I truly appreciate what this designation stands for." And the listing agent, also an SIOR designee, who represented the seller, remarked on a recent LinkedIn post. "We would also like to extend our appreciation to Tim Vi Tran, SIOR, CCIM, for his professionalism and diligence in representing the buyer. For the Ivy Group, the recognition is gratifying, but the true measure of success is simpler. A happy client who keeps coming back." Over 5 years, this one client returned to the Ivy Group again and again. 3 purchases, 2 pending sales, and counting. A partnership that grew stronger, deal after deal. What started as a single property tour turned into a multi-deal journey, culminating in the purchase of Oakland's Tidewater Avenue property. The Ivy Group will continue to guide the client through market shifts, financing hurdles, tough negotiations, and local real estate intelligence to achieve their long-term growth in commercial property investment. Building trust, building wealth. About the Ivy Group. The Ivy Group is a commercial real estate brokerage specializing in sales, leasing, and investment advisory and representation in Fremont, California, Silicon Valley, and across the greater San Francisco Bay Area. When you need to sell, buy, or lease a commercial property, the Ivy Group is ready to help you reach your goals with more than 100 years of combined experience in real estate, deep market insight, and professional designations including SIOR and CCIM. The Ivy Group delivers strategic solutions for complex real estate transactions with additional expertise in investment, technology, and engineering. Contact us with your next real estate needs.